All right, welcome back everybody. Today it's going to be something real quick, and I say real quick because I mean it this time. Usually when I say something down and dirty, it ends up being a little bit long. But I have a K7400 here that was sent in for repair. It's got vertical stretching and vertical tearing problems. This was sent in and it says, this started off dead with a horribly blown flyback. Kept getting new flyback, but couldn't get power after. After getting power, I couldn't get vertical deflection. R613 solved that, but other parts were replaced along the way. Once I had vertical deflection, the colors were off and there was a smell coming from the chassis. That smell actually ended up being the heat sink for the vertical IC was getting super hot, which I'll explain why here. I've already found the problem. Then I started getting what looked like a sync issue. Then finally, when adjusting the colors, it got stuck on red, like the picture I sent you. But basically, he posted online about this, and actually he was missing red completely, in other colors, I think. But anyway, here's a list of the parts I've replaced. Checked my work, obviously, but at least you know what's already been done. There's a couple of traces that are suspect around 601. I fixed all those. There were all these caps around here had lifted and broken traces. A couple other ones. I think this one here had a broken and lifted trace too. I had to fix a bunch of traces and pads, and I found a solder bridge on the connector there for the vertical or for the remote board. It's a lot of rework, but you see here cap kit flyback U704, U101, U701, C614, U601, R402. So the first thing I noticed was the R402 was not the right wattage. Right there is R402, and it's this big blue one there. It's supposed to be 1.2 ohms, give or take. And the one that was installed was this one here, this tiny little resistor here. And it was 4 ohms, and it's way smaller wattage than what it's supposed to be. So I pulled one off of a donor board and got that installed. Then I went through and fixed all the broken solder pads, and I fixed a solder bridge on the connector here for the remote harness. After all that, I went ahead and powered it up, and this is what we have. Now, if I decrease the vertical size, it starts doing this. So what in the world could this possibly be? Well, I spent about 2.5 hours going through the entire circuit trying to figure out what the problem was. And it ended up being an open resistor, R613, and I can't really show it here. So I'll get this off the tube here. I just wanted to show you what it was doing before. And ended up, the actual resistor is here, and it looks like it got blown open. It's hard to see. But the resistor is open, and it's supposed to be a 2.5 ohm resistor, give or take. So it turns out that resistor was open, and that's the cause of this. So let me actually go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to get this off the tube here, and I'll show you where it's at, what it looks like, and then we'll get it. Well, it's already replaced. I just have one leg desoldered, so you can see what the problem is. But yeah, I can. If we had smell-o-vision, you could smell this, and the heat sink here for the vertical IC is like scorching hot compared to what it's supposed to be. And that's because that resistor was open and likely burned up the original U601, which is why he replaced 601 here originally. So that's probably why he had no deflection. But like I say, if you have 26 volt reference off the flyback, it runs through R301, D301 over here. Then it runs through R402. That was this one. And then the 26 volts gets to pin 1 and pin 10 of the vertical IC. As long as you have 26 volts on pin 1 and 10, all your circuitry is okay, and there's something else wrong. And in this case, it was an open R613. So let me go ahead and get this off of here, and I'll show you where it's at and what's going on. So here's the chassis on the bench here, and R613 is this little guy right there. That guy right there. It's supposed to be 2.5-ish ohms, and it was completely open. It's right there next to the vertical IC and runs to pin number, it goes around and runs through a couple other components over here and then off to the IC. So with this being out of circuit, obviously it affected the vertical size there, and it was causing the stretching and everything. So now if we grab our meter and we test this in circuit, I went ahead and soldered it back in. So I just lifted one leg of it for demonstration purposes there just a few moments ago. So it's soldered back in now, but if we test it in circuit, you'll see here that it reads 2.3-ish ohms, give or take. Now, if we grab the original one here and just test it. And I'll zoom in on this and you can see that it is burned in the middle there. Yeah, it took me a couple of hours to go through all this stuff and fix the issues, and then ended up finding this. So I thought, well, you know, let's just go ahead and fix the problem and then come back and do a review showing what we found and everything. So like I say, I've done a lot of these vertical deflection problem troubleshooting videos, and I usually don't do videos on chassis unless there's something new to pass along or something new to show or learn. And in this case, we have a prime example. So I've never seen a bad R613 before. But if we test this one, we saw it was 2.3. We'll check our leads here again, 0.21. If I touch these two leads here, nothing, completely open, absolutely nothing. So that was the cause of our problem, an open R613. Now we also had the R402 that the owner of this replaced. Again, this one here. This is the resistor that was in there. It's this tiny little quarter watt. It may even be less than that. It's 4 ohms. I think it's a quarter watt. Well, that's not what's supposed to be in there. So I put in, I believe, this 1 watt. Yeah, I think that's what that is. 1.2 ohm. So that really is a lot beefier, and because a lot of this gets hot. And with that being like that, this small one, I should say, it's not good. It wouldn't last very long. So we had the R402 needed replaced, the R613, and then also this capacitor here on the neck board, C507, is supposed to be a 100 microfarad cap, and they had a 10 microfarad cap in there, so I changed that out. So we just had these 3 components, along with several. The solder joints for this one were lifted and almost broken. The solder joints for C613 actually had 1 broken pad. All of these 3 caps here had lifted pads. This one had lifted pads. I had to make some trace repair on that one. Various things like that. So just 3 components and some bad traces, and there was a solder bridge across these 2 pins right here. And a couple other issues. So I need to go through here and clean this all up. But yeah, I'll do it afterwards. So I'll get this cleaned up with some alcohol and toothbrush and everything like I normally do. Same thing with the neck board. I'll get all this cleaned up. I have to put this back on, and it did have the pincushion board, which I took off because it's running on 25 inch. I'm testing it on. So I had to clean this up that way in case if I test it first and then clean it up and don't test it again and something gets messed up, I won't know. So let me clean this up, then we'll test it after I got the R613 solder back in. And you can see that it's working, and we'll call this repaired. So I just wanted to point this out for anybody out there in the future that sees this exact problem. They will know what to look at. So let's get this cleaned up, back on the tube, and test it one last time, call it good, and finish this up. All right, so here we are back on the tube. Everything is hooked back up, ready to go. So let's turn this on. I got trusty old MK2 again here still. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, comes right on. And with the R613 replaced, what do we get? Oh, we're upside down. How did I manage that? Gosh dang it. Rookie mistake. We'll flip our yoke winding around here, or yoke wires, I should say. Turn it back on. And let's adjust our height. And, oh, well, I gotta readjust vertical position. But there you go. R613. Imagine that. Let's get past this. Let's go into the menu here. And the owner of this was stating something about how they were missing colors, like they didn't have red, or they posted a picture and it looks like they only had green or only had blue, something. But I'm not having any color problems at all. Right out of the box, the colors were fine. The issue was the vertical stretching tearing because of R613. I'm not having any color problems whatsoever, so they may have an issue with their tube. And I'll point that out to them when I send this in. But regardless, let's go to diagnostic, or send it back to them, I should say. Monitor patterns, crosshatch. Yeah, I need to move vertical position up. We lost vertical position. I'll bet you we have an open. So if you have no I lost vertical position. If you have no vertical position control, there is a transistor right there that I'm sure has a broken pad or trace. If I wiggle it around, yeah, see, watch what happens here. See? Right there I would have vertical position control, and right there I wouldn't. See if I can hold it. Okay, I bent it. See, now if I move vertical position, see, now I have position control. So, and now I can balance my height and everything. And you can see I still have the schematic up on the computer over there. But all right, yeah, so I need to fix the solder joints on this transistor here. And if I move it back, see, yeah, so I'll fix that, no problem. But for the purposes of the video, we have this repaired. So that's it. I'll get that transistor fixed, and otherwise, yeah. And we can see how well this looks with everything all adjusted, which I had already done previously. We got our blue background. That means it's adjusted properly for blue and looking good. Actually, it's a bit too bright. You can see here the background's not black. If I turn the brightness down until the background is black, well, there you go. That's much better. Fantastic. Glorious. So, okay, I'm going to get that transistor fixed, and then I'll send the information on this back to the owner, and then he should be fairly happy. So I just wanted to point that out. I've never seen an R613 fail, and it'd be good to get this documented. So that's what the purpose of this video was. Not much else to talk about. So thanks very much for watching. I have, let's see, over here, I have a whole nother box full of stuff and 4 chassis for the guys at the Geek Pub. So we'll have to get those done next. And then I also have a brand new in-the-box 29-inch tri-mode Macvision that has a whole story behind it as well. So that'll be upcoming as well. So stay tuned, lots more on the way. I say that every time. I say that every time. But thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Give the video a thumbs up or a like, and we'll see you next time.